Righty. Hello, 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 hello. Welcome. Shabbos, Chodesh, Chodesh Kislev. Hashem, excuse me for fiddling with the camera. Okay, here we go. And so, tonight, Zat Hashem, we'll start with Sipurey Baal Shem Tov, and then we'll learn Sochos Haran, and Hashem will have this tremendous month of Kislev, Hanukkah, and we'll talk a little bit about what is so significant, Dafka and Hanukkah. And so, here we go. One of the famous Talmidim of the Baal Shem Tov was Rabbi Wolf Kitzis, and he once accompanied the Baal Shem Tov when he visited a villager, a Jew, who was very poor, who accepted them with great simcha. So the Baal Shem Tov tells him, listen, I need a donation of 18 rubles for a very important cause. Now, this person didn't have that kind of money. But since the Baal Shem Tov, it was the one who was asking him, he took some of his furniture and the only cow that he owned, and he sold it, and he gave the Baal Shem Tov the money.
Wow.
And both, was watching the whole thing. 3 days later, that village Jew had to pay his rent, and he didn't have the money. So the owner of the place threw him out. He saw that there's no future in that particular village. He's a failure, and such a success story can be someone else also. So he decided he's going to start somewhere else. At the end, he rented a shack from the Puritz in a village that wasn't that far. After he sold a few more of his belongings, he managed to buy a cow. And now the cow was his source of income. He sold the milk and, had a little food to eat. A little time later, the cow of the Puritz, the milk cow of the Puritz, was sick and didn't have milk to give. So one of the servants of the Puritz that knew about this new tenant went to him and bought milk for his master. When the Puritz, the landlord, drank the milk, he says, "This is an unbelievable milk. Wow, this is so delicious. I've never drank a milk as good before. Tell the owner of this cow that if he's willing to give me exclusivity, for the milk of this cow, I will pay him, very handsomely." And this changed the luck of this villager completely. Every single day, he brought the landlord the milk to his estate. Every day, this estate owner, enjoyed the milk immensely, and he started liking the Jew. Started talking to him. They got together, and realized that this villager, maybe a poor man, but he was a smart man. So he started, talking about his business and, getting some advice from him and so forth. Then he started sending him on all kinds of errands and stuff. And he realized that he was totally honest and was totally faithful. And he trusted him more and more and more. And the more he worked for him, the more this landowner owner trusted him. The connection between them was so, deepened so much that because that landowner had no children, he actually transferred the ownership to the name of this Jew, the ownership on his estate and the village and the nearby city and all the lands around, because he felt that doing this, his property was in good hands, and the landowner took a vacation. Right? He's going to go. He deposited everything he owned in the hands of this man and this Jew, and which he knows that he can trust. And now it's time to take a vacation. Somebody will take care of business. Some years later, Reb Wolf Kitzis came to the village of the landlord and to collect money for Pidyon Shvoim, the release of prisoners. And Reb Wolf Kitzis already collected about 300 rubles. When he met with the Rav of this particular village, he said, "Why?" And he saw him, he's dressed with his Shabbos clothes. So he says, "Why, dress so Shabbosdik?" So he says, "I'm going together with some members of the people of the town to visit, the landowner of this town. To receive the owner of this town is coming to visit us." He says, "Why don't you come with us? He's a Jew, and for sure he'll be happy, to donate for such important cause." And without them, and this Jew, came to them and was, received them very, very warmly, and he gave a very close look, paid specific attention to Rabbi Wolf Kitzis. After a short while, he took him to the side and he says, "You don't remember me?" Well, Kitzis couldn't remember him. Where did he see him? He says, "A rich person and a landowner." So this landowner took out 300 rubles and gave it to him. Only when he came back to the Baal Shem Tov, the Wolf Kitzis understood the whole story. The last 300 rubles that were missing were donated by this village Jew that once we asked for him for 18 rubles. Today he's a very wealthy person. The Baal Shem Tov told him, "Now you understand why I asked him for so much money when he was so poor. I saw that if he will move to another dwelling, the luck, his luck will change. And I didn't have any choice. I had to force him to leave his place. And the rest, said about Shem Tov, you already know."
Mm.
It's pretty amazing. When you take a look at history, Bill Wine says that there's a way of of the secular way of looking at history, which is basically a boring conglomeration of people and places and dates that seem to have no connection with one another. But a Jewish observation on history is very different. It's a providential history. Burl Wine said, what's the difference between the two? He says that he is a grandfather many times over, whenever they tell him that one of his grandkids has a birthday, so he says that he starts to investigate to see what kind of gift will be most productive, inducive, and beneficial to the genius that this kid undoubtedly will grow up to be. And he goes and he purchases the present, and he goes and gives it to this kid, and he says the rest of the afternoon the kid is playing with the box. So he says that's general history. They're playing with the box. They're not playing with the toy itself. When we see here the story of the Baal Shem, in a certain way, this is only a small opening of the aperture. People, we are, each and every one of us is equipping is holding now a very narrow piece of time in history. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu is running the world, in spans of hundreds and thousands of years. Hundreds and thousands of years, millennia. We can see that according to this story, the Baal Shem Tov was able to see, the span of what this person was, what his mazel was, and if you just move a little piece, the person moves from here to there, that his mazel will totally change. But there are two aspects to this. First of all, the story as it is very limited in a sense that you see a Jew that was very poor, and the Baal Shem Tov says, okay, let's move it and change the narrative, and then he became very wealthy. But the main point of the story, about the inside of Baal Shem Tov is not just that, wow, now he made this person very wealthy. Before he was very poor, and now he became very wealthy. And, wow, and there's a Maifis and Baruch Hashem, which is a very great thing to help a Jew, is an unbelievable thing. But there are certain points in the story that tell you something else. It wasn't just the fate of this particular person the Baal Shem Tov was affecting. He was also putting into play the salvation of all the captives that were to be ultimately released by the ransom the money that this person would give once he became wealthy. And not only that, what is missing from the story is that the Baal Shem Tov himself, is the one that made the change, which means the shift in that person's luck and his fortune was congruous with the ultimate fate of this particular neshama in this world, in the next one, all the way up to Olam Atikun. Otherwise, the Baal Shem wouldn't do it. Because you can very easily tell stories about the Baal Shem Kodesh, or let's say for every story of the Baal Shem Kodesh that you can tell of such a miracle, there were literally millions that were not helped, that were poor and destitute, and maybe even died of starvation. Why weren't they helped? Okay, we like Sipurey Tzadikim and whatever it is, and so we talk about all the time that the Baal Shem Tov did make this, this shift, this radical change of fortune for this person. But obviously, besides changing the fortune for this man, as I said before, many, many others whose fortune were not changed. Why? Now, to understand this a little more, there's a story about which I know to be true. This story is, we believe that either it happened or it could have happened. But the story that I'm going to tell you is a story that I know to be true, because Reb Nosson wrote it. And this is a story about Rabbeinu Zal, Rabbi Nachman, that was traveling in a wagon with his chazan, Reb Chaikel. Now, Reb Chaikel was, on the road. He served Rabbeinu. You would think, okay, who was he? Chazan, okay, so he could sing. Probably was a very healthy Yid. Was a very, very kosher Jew, a Tzadik. But this story tells a little bit more about the level of the people around Rabbeinu. So they went along in a wagon, and Rabbeinu seemed to have, like fell asleep. So the Peikel saw that Rabbeinu fell asleep. The wagon was going along the way of, close to a village where a relative of this Peikel, lived. So the Peikel hinted to the driver, the coach driver, to veer off and go to visit, and go there. They went to this village, and Rabbeinu made himself like he knows absolutely nothing about the whole thing. He doesn't notice it, whatever. They come to the house of this person. Rabbeinu steps down, and they come to the house of this person. The poverty is like the poverty of those days. We don't understand that kind of level of poverty. Every person had like maybe one, set of clothing, tethered, maybe torn and repatched. There was nothing in the house. So he was a relative of a Peikel. So he told his relative, why don't you put out, some refreshments for the Rebbe. So the person says, I don't have anything. So he told him, go sell your wife's silver candelabrum, candle holders, and buy something. Go to the inn and buy something to drink, something to eat, some cakes. So he did that. He took the candlesticks, he sold them, and pawned them, whatever it is that he did, and he bought some stuff and he brought it. While the Rebbe was there, he drank and he ate. The Chaikel said to Rabbeinu, he says, take a look around. They have absolutely nothing. Why don't you, be mashpia to him, grant him some bounty, some. So Rabbeinu said, I don't have any bounty for him. I don't have any shefa for him. So Rabbeinu says to Reb Chaim, he says, if you want to bestow some bounty, you go ahead, do it, give it to him. So Reb Chaim said, I'm afraid to do this. Maybe the Rebbe will say that Chaim will die, and Chaim will die. And he says, no, don't worry about it. If you want to give him, you want to bestow, shefa of wealth, time, go ahead and give it. So Reb Chaim, that's the chazan, okay? He takes a pail of water and he spills it on the floor. And he takes a broom and he brushes it one side. He says, bounty to the north, shefa to the north, shefa to the south, shefa to the east, shefa to the west. When the water came to Rabbeinu lifted up his bekercher, lifted it up, and he said, I don't want you to give me any kind of bounty of shefa. No, I don't want any shefa from you. And they left. And the story goes, and this is a true story, after they left, it sounds almost like a fairy tale that a group of Gentile merchants came through, and they usually used to stop by the inn to eat and drink. And they stopped by his house, and they said, "We'd like you to, why don't you put some liquor down, and whatever it is, let's eat some." So he says, "I don't have anything to give you. I don't have anything to. I don't have any liquor to sell to you." I said, "Why not?" He said, "Well, I don't have any money." So they said, something, that's not a problem. We're going to lend you some money. We trust you. We're going to lend you some money. You buy, some liquor. And next time, you pay us. He went, he bought, gave them, and he made some little money. He bought some more. From that time on, they started stopping by him. And he made a little more money. Then he said he had enough money. He bought a cow, he bought some goats, he bought some chickens. He buys a cow. So he had chickens, he had, and he had eggs. He bought the cow, he has milk. He started, making cheese, making this, making that. And slowly, he started going up and up. And then these merchants and others would stop by him, buy stuff from him. Then they started giving him pelts, to buy. And he started, and Bikitso started getting wealthier and wealthier. Now he became so busy that he had no time, for Avodas Hashem and for learning what it was too much to do. And he once came to Rabbeinu, to the city where Rabbeinu was, and if it was Breslov already, or I'm not sure. And because there was the market was there, there was the fair day, the market day in the main cities, and he would come and would do his business. Now he was very, very busy, he had a lot of errands to run. And he didn't want to go over to the Rebbe's house because he was afraid that, he's going to waste time. He had meetings to go, he had things to do, and he didn't know what he's going to. So he tried to pass by the Rebbe's house, like to slink by very quickly. The Rebbe stood by the window as he passed, and as he was passing, the Rebbe knocked on the glass. So, and he looked, and the Rebbe said, "Come over." And he came into the Rebbe calls him already. It's not their head, it's not to go. So he came in, and the Rebbe asked him, "Did you look up to heaven today?" So the guy starts saying, I'm very busy. I have a lot to do. I have a lot on my mind. So the Rebbe takes him to the window and he says, what do you see outside? She said, when I see the market, I see people, I see horses, I see this, I see that. So the Rebbe told him, 50 years from now, this is going to be a totally different market. You and I are not going to be here. All the people that you see running around won't be here anymore. All the animals you see here won't be here anymore. You're wasting all your time on running your business on a world which isn't even yours. So you told Reb Chaikel, you see what you did with your shefa, with this good luck that you gave him. He doesn't even have time to look up to the Shemayim, to the sky in heaven. By the way, it's a big thing in the morning, to look up to the Shemayim. You should know it's a thing, because when you look down, you see the separateness of this world. There's him, there's this place, there's that place, whatever. But you look at the Shemayim is one. Just one heaven, that's it. It instills in you that notion of oneness. Of the tachlis, that's the tachlis what the world is about. It works on you, it purifies you. Gets a chacham and emunah Hashem. It's very healthy to do. So first of all, from this particular story, you see that Reb Chaikel was able to change a person's luck. I mean, do you know how many people, holy people in our generation, can do what he did? I don't know if even one. But nevertheless, you see that it was not to the ultimate advantage of that particular person. When the Tzadik gives a bracha, is Birkas Hashem Yisashir, the blessing of Hashem will make one rich. But it does not add sorrow alongside with it. Not in this world and not in the next one. This is very, very important. Well, Hashem, let's take a quick look. Sochos Haran for this week. Where is it? Here we go. Ready? Sicha 258. The Rebbe admonished us greatly, lasos mitzvahs harbe, to do a lot of mitzvahs. And it seems from what he meant that he wanted us to be involved with a lot of mitzvahs. To collect money, to deal with gemilas chasadim, charity, and so forth. And Sabina says in this clause, what? You don't know any mitzvahs at all? And his meaning was as said before. Ultimately we can get caught up with all kinds of good things. I'm talking about good things, just that. Baruch Hashem, we daven, Baruch Hashem, we learn, Baruch Hashem, we do whatever it is that we can. And then there are certain people who are hooked in on doing stuff, doing mitzvahs, collecting money, and doing, and giving out for Shabbos. I know of at least two, there are many others, but I know at least two of people that go around the shul, collecting money and giving people food for Shabbos. That's what they do. I know one person who lost his son in a motor accident, and he goes around collecting money, feeding people for Shabbos. Well, for the memory of his son, and so forth and so on. The Rebbe wanted us to fill out, to round out our personality, as it were, our neshama. Every level of Ratzon Hashem that we do, whether it is by praying or by making zbodedus, or by learning Torah, halacha, this, that, Gemara, whatever, Sifrei Rabbeinu, Bavadai, and everything else, saying Tehillim, and doing mitzvahs, of course, physical mitzvahs, which we're talking about here. Each of these types of activities create spiritual garments for the neshama for the world to come. The neshama cannot come to the next world naked. There are many naked neshamas which are outside. As they said in the Megillah, you don't come to the court of the king wearing sackcloth. The Rebbe says you need to curate garments for a person's neshama. So the neshama has what to wear in Olam Haba. Now these garments need to be fancy, they need to be strong. If they're not fancy, you can come to the king's court in sackcloth. On the other hand, when a neshama goes through this, goes to the next world, and the avenging angels, try to tear off the levushim, that these garments, because when a person has deficiencies in the area of sanctity, of moral purity, that makes the garments, whatever garments he have, weak. So they may be able to tear off these garments from him because of lack of kedusha. That's why Shlomo Melech says in Eshes Chayil, Oiz v'hadar levusha, if the garment of the neshama is both strong, and it's also hadar, it's also fancy, but tischak li'amachon, then the last day is a laughing matter. You're just being born to the next life. If the kedusha is not there, the garments are beautiful, but they are weak. They can be torn off. I mean, tearing up, which means there's a limit to how much you can go with them. If they're just strong, but they're not beautiful, well, in other words, you're Baruch Hashem, Shemer, Britz, and everything, but no Torah, no Tefillah, no Beseder, you have a presence, El Mabah, but you can't come to the court of the king. Can't lavo, Chatzar Melech Birush Sak. Oiz v'hada levusha. But if your levushim are both strong and both beautiful, then Vatisrak Yamachon, the last day is the laughing matter. It's no problem. The thing that Zabenu says, that fortunate is the person who eats a few chapters of Mishnayos every day and drinks a few kapitlach of Tehillim every day. Now we're going to do some mitzvahs. Do something for other. You have a car, stop, give somebody, and give somebody a lift. It is said, Rav Hutner used to say that there's no mitzvah of chesed in this world in which the dichotomy between what it takes from the giver and what it gives to the recipient, the dichotomy is greater than giving somebody a lift in your car. You're driving this way anyway. Doesn't take anything from you. But for the one who's getting the lift, it's night and day. Standing there in the sun and the rain and this and that, having to walk, we've all been in that situation. Some say that it's the only real form of achnasos orchim in our generation. It used to be the old days, people who come, took weeks to travel from place to place. They come to place, there's no hotels, there's no anything else. People took people home. Okay, today there's no such thing. In 12 hours you can be in New York. You come here, you can always, especially in Eretz Yisrael, you can get home from anywhere. So if somebody stays by you, beseder, so they're your guests, but there's no really, classic achnasos orchim where they don't have where to stay. You're given, except giving somebody a lift with your car. Anyhow, so pick and choose, go ahead in this day, do some, actual mitzvahs begufay, is, give somebody a lift, you have a package of tissues. Take it to shul. Put it out on the table. Nobody will know that it's your tissues. But it's an unbelievable chesed. And somebody needs to sneeze, somebody needs to blow his nose, and you have tissues there. It's a gavaldige chesed. What did it cost you? Yeah, but why would I put the tissue, the box of tissues there? I will need tissues and I won't have because everybody will use it up. Okay. Little things. Do it. Fill out, create for yourself garments for Olam Haba. It's kedai. Baruch Hashem, tonight, Rosh Chodesh Kislev, Bezat Hashem, we will talk about, as we're getting closer to Hanukkah, we'll talk about Hanukkah, different aspects. Rabbeinu says, Yemei Hanukkah is Yemei Hoidah, the days of lauding and praising HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's not just, well-mannered conduct. It's a different road in life. It's a whole, and it's an art form. To live in thanks, to live in gratitude. And there's also other meaning of why Hanukkah is so substantial, to the point that Chazal said that in the future, all the Yom Tovim, will become basically meaningless except for Hanukkah and Purim. We'll talk about that in Yetz Hashem. So I want to wish everybody that came and everybody that's going to watch B'ezras Hashem this video, in the various channels, Good Chodesh, and B'ezras Hashem, this Chodesh Hashem will be for you, filled with blessing, filled with health, filled with B'seres Tevis. Yeshua's V'nacham B'ezras Hashem, we B'ezras Hashem to see with the building of Beis Hamikdash and the coming of the Mashiach in Yetz Hashem soon in our days, B'ezras Hashem. Shkoyach Gadol.